Most people don't lack motivation. They lack intention. They wake up, move through the day, respond to what is loudest, handle what's urgent, and then they collapse at night, wondering why they feel drained, disconnected, and exhausted. And it's not because they didn't do enough. No, it's because they weren't fully, truly engaged. And that's why the next step in the resilient wellness method is engage intentionally. Because once you recognize reality, like we talked about in the last video, now you have a choice. You can either keep living by default or you can start participating in your life on purpose. Engaging intentionally means you don't just show up, but you show up with presence, purpose, and direction. It's the difference between existing and living, between reacting and leading yourself, between drifting and designing. This step matters because it interrupts autopilot. And autopilot's subtle. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels efficient because it's a repetitive pattern that we found ourselves in over time that we just don't think about. Like, for instance, you wake up and you check your phone, or you rush through routines without thinking. Maybe even eat without tasting, or work without intention, or listen without hearing, or rest without actually recovering. See, autopilot keeps you moving, but it doesn't keep you progressing. And the longer someone stays on autopilot, the more disconnected they become from their energy, from their discipline, and even from their fulfillment. And we'll go through these. See, engaging intentionally, though, that shuts that autopilot off. When you engage intentionally, you stop letting momentum decide how you live, but you start choosing how you show up. And this is also where discipline begins to change. See, most people think discipline's about force or about pushing harder or white knuckling and getting through it. But real discipline, it's not created through pressure. It's created through intentional engagement. When you engage intentionally, you don't ask, do I feel like this? But rather you ask, is this aligned with who I'm becoming? And that question alone strengthens discipline without burnout. And then there's also the fulfillment that we talked about. This engaging intentionally deepens fulfillment. Fulfillment doesn't come from doing more, it comes from being present in what you're already doing. So you can have a full calendar and still feel empty. You can be successful, like many people are, and still feel disconnected, like many people do. And you can be busy and still feel unfulfilled. But intentional engagement brings meaning back into those ordinary moments. Not because life suddenly changes, but because you do. At its core, engaging intentionally is about shifting modes. Every human being operates in one of two modes most of the time. The first mode is default mode, or autopilot. And in this one, you're reactive. You respond to emotions. You move based on habit. You let circumstances set the tone. You operate unconsciously. Nothing is technically wrong, but nothing is fully right either. Default mode keeps you surviving and not thriving. But the second mode is intentional mode. And this is where we want to be, because intentional mode's different. In intentional mode, you are present. You're aware of what you're doing. You choose how you engage. Your actions align with your values. And you begin to lead others instead of chasing the moment, right? Intentional mode does not require more time. It requires more awareness. And this is where the 3 layers of intentionality come. And the first layer is awareness. Awareness is that moment you notice what you're doing instead of operating unconsciously. Pretty straightforward, but a lot of the times we neglect that. You begin to notice how you speak, you notice how you're reacting, you notice how you're moving through the moment, right? And without awareness, you don't have a choice. You only have momentum. You're only going with what is just operating unconsciously. So awareness is the pause that interrupts that old pattern. The second layer is choice. Choice is where awareness turns into an action. Choice sounds like asking yourself, is this how I want to show up right now? Right? See, you may not control the situation, but you can choose your engagement in that situation. That's your choice. Choice is where personal agency is rebuilt. This is also where discipline begins to form naturally too, because you're no longer acting on impulse. You're acting with intention, right? And so now it seems to be on purpose. The third layer is alignment. And I like this one because alignment is the deepest layer. Alignment asks, does this action match who I'm becoming? Because that's who we're trying to inspire to be, is the person that we want to be, right? So is this where intention becomes sustainable? Yes, it is. When actions are aligned with values, resistance drops, consistency increases, and discipline, it feels lighter. You don't have to force alignment either. It pulls you forward, which is nice. It's a great shift. So engaging intentionally, it doesn't mean you become rigid or intense about everything. Don't get me wrong. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, it means you bring presence to what matters. And it might look like being fully present in one conversation instead of half listening while scrolling, right? It may look like doing one daily routine without distraction. It might look like making one decision consciously instead of emotionally. It might look like slowing down enough to actually experience your life. Small moments done intentionally compound faster than massive changes done inconsistently. Every time. This step is not about perfection. It's not about control. It's not about doing everything right. It's about participation. It's about choosing to be where your feet are. And this is why the action step matters. Choose one daily routine this week. Just one. I challenge you. Something simple, something you already do. And practice doing it with complete presence. And see how that shift changes for you. See how you feel different. No multitasking, no rushing, no distraction, just engagement. And notice through that the feelings that you feel and how different you feel engaged, right? Because when you practice intentional engagement in small moments, it starts to show up everywhere else. That's the cool thing about it. It compounds. And once you engage intentionally, something powerful happens. You begin to build strength from the inside out, which leads directly to the next step in the resilient wellness method that we're going to talk about in the next video, which is you strengthen your core. But it all starts here. Recognize reality, engage intentionally. We begin to get on the right track.